3 nuclear-powered supercarriers, over 240 combat aircraft, dozens of cruisers, destroyers, and fast-attack submarines spread across thousands of square miles of ocean. Right now, at this very moment, the United States Navy has assembled the single largest concentration of naval firepower in the Persian Gulf region since the 2003 invasion of Iraq. 3 full carrier strike groups, each one capable of leveling a mid-sized nation on its own, are now positioned in an arc that stretches from the Arabian Sea through the Strait of Hormuz and deep into the waters of the Central Command Area of Responsibility. The USS Dwight D. Eisenhower, the USS Theodore Roosevelt, and the USS Abraham Lincoln, 3 floating cities of war, each displacing over 100,000 tons, on each carrying a full air wing of F/A-18E/F Super Hornets, EA-18G Growler electronic warfare jets, and E-2D Advanced Hawkeye early warning aircraft. Their escorts include Ticonderoga-class guided missile cruisers armed with the Aegis combat system, Arleigh Burke-class destroyers loaded with BGM-109 Tomahawk land attack cruise missiles, and lurking beneath the surface, Virginia-class fast attack submarines carrying Mark 48 AD-cap heavyweight torpedoes and additional Tomahawk cells. Iran is now surrounded by more firepower than most countries will ever produce in their entire history. And the question everyone from Tehran to Washington is asking is simple: what happens next? Before we dive into the heart of this operation, a quick word. This channel is brand new, and our team is working 12 hours a day, non-stop, to bring you the most accurate military intelligence on YouTube. Our only goal right now is to reach our first 1,000 subscribers. If you value this level of research, please hit that subscribe button now and join our community. It truly makes a difference. Now let's get into the strategic picture, because to understand why 3 carriers are here, you first need to understand the geography that makes Iran one of the most dangerous military problems on the planet. The Strait of Hormuz. Look at a map of the Persian Gulf, and one feature dominates everything: the Strait of Hormuz. This narrow choke point, barely 21 nautical miles wide at its narrowest navigable point, is the single most important waterway in the global energy economy. Roughly 20% of the world's total oil supply passes through this strait every single day. That is approximately 20 to 21 million barrels of crude oil flowing through a corridor so narrow that tankers must travel in designated shipping lanes only 2 miles wide in each direction, separated by a 2-mile-wide median. Now imagine you are the commander of Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Navy, the IRGCN. You are sitting on the northern shore of that strait. You have hundreds of fast attack craft, small, agile, heavily armed speedboats capable of swarming a target at over 50 knots. You have Chinese-designed C-802 anti-ship cruise missiles hidden in hardened bunkers carved into the rocky coastline. You have EM-52 rocket-propelled sea mines, the kind that sit on the seabed and launch upward into a ship's hull when triggered by acoustic or magnetic sensors. And you have something else. You have thousands of ballistic missiles, short and medium range, scattered across your territory in mobile transporter erector launchers, or TELs, that can relocate in under 10 minutes, making them extraordinarily difficult to find and destroy before they fire. Iran has spent 40 years and billions of dollars building what military analysts call an anti-access area denial network, commonly shortened to A2/AD. The entire doctrine is designed around one concept: make it so costly to enter the Persian Gulf that no adversary would dare try. And for decades, this strategy has given Iran enormous leverage. The mere threat of closing the Strait of Hormuz is enough to spike global oil prices and send shockwaves through financial markets worldwide. So why would the United States send not 1, not 2, but 3 carrier strike groups directly into the teeth of this threat? The answer tells you everything about how serious this situation has become. The intelligence picture. Let's rewind. In the months leading up to this deployment, American intelligence agencies, primarily the National Security Agency and the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, began detecting a pattern. Satellite imagery from commercial and classified sources showed unusual activity at several known Iranian missile bases. At the Imam Ali base near the city of Kermanshah in western Iran, imagery analysts identified fresh tire tracks from TEL vehicles, consistent with dispersal operations. At the underground missile facility at Khorramabad, thermal signatures indicated engine tests on what analysts assessed to be Shahab-3 medium-range ballistic missiles. Naval weapons with a range of approximately 1,300 kilometers, enough to reach any target in the Gulf region and well into Israel. Simultaneously, signals intelligence, or SIGINT, collected by NSA listening stations and by the EP-3E Ares electronic reconnaissance aircraft operating over the Gulf of Oman, picked up a surge in encrypted communications between IRGCN headquarters in Bandar Abbas and forward-deployed fast-attack boat units stationed at islands in the strait, including Abu Musa, Greater Tumb, and Lesser Tumb. These three islands, seized by Iran in 1971 and still disputed by the United Arab Emirates, have been converted into forward military outposts with anti-ship missile batteries, radar installations, and mine storage facilities. The intelligence community's assessment was stark. Iran was preparing for a potential escalation. Whether this was defensive posturing in response to increased American pressure or the preparatory phase for an offensive action such as a limited mining operation in the strait remained unclear. But in the world of carrier strike group deployments, you don't wait for clarity. You position for every contingency, and that is exactly what the Pentagon did. Strike Group Alpha. The Eisenhower. The first carrier to arrive was the USS Dwight D. Eisenhower, CVN-69, the veteran. Ike, as her crew calls her, is a Nimitz-class nuclear-powered aircraft carrier that has been deploying to this region for decades. Her air wing, Carrier Air Wing 3 or CVW-3, embarked with a full complement of strike fighters, 4 squadrons of FA-18E and FA-18F Super Hornets, each aircraft capable of carrying a mixed loadout of precision-guided munitions. We are talking about the Joint Direct Attack Munition, the JDAM, a GPS-guided bomb available in 500, 1,000, and 2,000-pound variants. We are talking about the AGM-154 Joint Standoff Weapon, a glide bomb with a range of over 60 nautical miles that allows the launching aircraft to stay well outside the range of most point defense systems. And we are talking about the AGM-88 HARM, the high-speed anti-radiation missile, specifically designed to home in on the radar emissions of enemy air defense systems, flying at speeds exceeding Mach 2 to destroy the emitter before it can shut down. Ike's air wing also includes a squadron of EA-18G Growlers. These aircraft are the electronic warfare specialists. They carry the ALQ-99 tactical jamming system and its successor, the next-generation jammer, which can flood enemy radar screens with so much electronic noise that operators cannot distinguish real targets from false ones. In a strike package, the Growlers go in first, blinding the enemy's eyes, and the Super Hornets follow with the killing blow. Escorting the Eisenhower is a surface action group led by the Ticonderoga-class guided missile cruiser, USS San Jacinto, CG-56. San Jacinto carries the Aegis combat system, the most advanced naval integrated combat system ever built. Aegis uses the AN/SPY-1D passive electronically scanned array radar, a system capable of simultaneously tracking over 100 targets at ranges exceeding 200 nautical miles. It can guide multiple standard missile variants, including the SM-2 for area air defense and the SM-6, which has an active radar seeker and can engage targets at ranges beyond 150 nautical miles, including ballistic missiles in their terminal phase. San Jacinto also carries a full complement of Tomahawk cruise missiles in her vertical launching system cells, ready to strike land targets over 1,000 miles away with a circular error probable of less than 10 meters. Flanking San Jacinto are 3 Arleigh Burke-class destroyers, each carrying 90 to 96 vertical launch system cells loaded with a mix of standard missiles, Tomahawks, and evolved Sea Sparrow missiles for close-in air defense. Together, this single strike group can project more firepower than most national militaries possess in their entirety, and it is only one of 3. Barbara Strike Group. Bravo, the Roosevelt. The USS Theodore Roosevelt, CVN-71, arrived from the Pacific, surging through the Strait of Malacca and across the Indian Ocean at a sustained speed of over 30 knots, a sprint that only a nuclear-powered warship can maintain indefinitely without refueling. Roosevelt carries Carrier Air Wing 11, and her deployment added another critical capability to the overall force, the F-35C Lightning II. Let's talk about this aircraft for a moment, because it changes the calculus of this entire operation. The F-35C is a 5th-generation stealth fighter. Its radar cross-section, the measure of how visible it is to enemy radar, is roughly the size of a golf ball. Compare that to the Super Hornet, which despite being an outstanding aircraft, has a radar cross-section closer to that of a small car. What this means in practical terms is that the F-35C can penetrate Iranian airspace largely undetected, using its AN/APG-81 active electronically scanned array radar and its distributed aperture system, a suite of 6 infrared cameras that provide a full 360-degree spherical view around the aircraft to build a comprehensive picture of the battle space without ever emitting a signal that could give away its position. The F-35C's sensor fusion is the real game changer. All data from the radar, the infrared sensors, the electronic warfare suite, and offboard sources like satellites and E-2D Hawkeyes are combined into a single unified display for the pilot. The aircraft essentially tells the pilot exactly what is out there, where it is, and what it is doing, in real time. In a contested environment like Iranian airspace, where the enemy operates Russian-supplied S-300 PMU-2 long-range surface-to-air missile systems and domestically produced Bavar 373 systems, this level of situational awareness is the difference between mission success and a shootdown. Roosevelt's escorts include another Aegis cruiser and a full destroyer squadron, adding another 300 or more vertical launch system cells to the combined fleet. The math is becoming staggering. We are now looking at over 600 VLS cells across 2 strike groups, and we have not even talked about the third. Strike Group Charlie, the Lincoln. The USS Abraham Lincoln, CVN-72, completed the triangle. Lincoln positioned in the Arabian Sea, south of the Strait of Hormuz, effectively blocking any Iranian attempt to project naval power into the Indian Ocean. Her air wing provides the deep strike capability, with Super Hornets loaded for long-range interdiction missions carrying external fuel tanks and AGM-84 Harpoon anti-ship missiles for the maritime strike role. But Lincoln brought something else that the other 2 strike groups did not. She arrived with an amphibious ready group in close company. This ARG, centered on a Wasp-class amphibious assault ship carrying a Marine Expeditionary Unit, and adds a ground force dimension to the operation. The MEU includes a reinforced infantry battalion, a composite aviation combat element with AH-1Z Viper attack helicopters, UH-1Y Venom utility helicopters, MV-22B Osprey tiltrotor aircraft, and, critically, F-35B, Lightning II short takeoff and vertical landing stealth fighters operating from the amphibious assault ship's flight deck. But this means there are now F-35s operating from 2 separate platforms in 2 different locations, creating a distributed stealth strike capability that is almost impossible for Iran's air defense network to track comprehensively. With Lincoln's escorts added to the force, the total number of vertical launch system cells in the combined fleet exceeds 900 cells, each one containing a missile that can travel hundreds or thousands of miles to strike a target with devastating precision. Beneath the surface. Now let's talk about the part of this deployment that Iran fears the most. The submarines. Every carrier strike group deploys with at least 1 fast attack submarine, and in a high-threat environment like this, the number is almost certainly higher. The Virginia-class submarine is the crown jewel of the American undersea fleet, displacing approximately 7,800 tons submerged, powered by a General Electric S-9G pressurized water reactor that never needs refueling during the ship's operational life and quieter than the ambient ocean noise at slow speeds. The Virginia-class is a ghost. These submarines carry the Mark 48 ADCAP torpedo, the advanced capability variant of the most lethal heavyweight torpedo in the world. The Mark 48 ADCAP can reach speeds exceeding 55 knots, has a range of over 5 miles at that speed, and uses a combination of wire guidance and active/passive acoustic homing to close on its target. Its warhead is designed to detonate beneath a ship's keel, creating a gas bubble effect that breaks the hull in 2. There is no defense against it once it reaches terminal homing. But the submarine's role here extends far beyond torpedo attacks. Each Virginia-class boat carries 12 vertical launch system tubes loaded with Tomahawk cruise missiles, giving the submarine force its own independent land attack capability. A single submarine can launch a salvo of Tomahawks from a completely covert position, hundreds of miles from the target, and disappear back into the deep before anyone knows where the missiles came from. Now multiply that by however many submarines are actually deployed in the region. The Navy never confirms the exact number. That ambiguity is itself a weapon. The submarines are also the primary intelligence-gathering platforms. Using their sophisticated sonar suites, they can map every Iranian submarine, surface vessel, and mine-laying operation in the Gulf. They sit silently outside Iranian ports, recording acoustic signatures, monitoring ship movements, and building the targeting picture that the strike groups will use if hostilities begin. The Iranian response Tehran is watching all of this, and they are not sitting idle. Iran's military doctrine for a confrontation with the United States has been war-gamed, rehearsed, and refined for decades. It centers on three pillars. First, the fast attack swarm. The IRGC-N operates hundreds of small, fast boats, many equipped with rocket launchers, heavy machine guns, and short-range anti-ship missiles. The tactic is simple in concept but devastating in execution. Dozens of these boats would launch simultaneously from multiple harbors and island bases, converging on a high-value target from all directions. The goal is to overwhelm the target's defenses through sheer numbers. A destroyer's close-in weapon system, the Phalanx CIWS, can engage targets at a rate of 75 rounds per second, but it can only track one target at a time. If 30 boats are inbound from 30 different bearings, the math does not work in the defender's favor. Second, the mine threat. Iran is estimated to possess several thousand naval mines of various types, from simple contact mines that date back to designs used in World War II, to sophisticated EM-52 rocket-rising mines that can sit dormant on the seabed for months until a ship passes overhead. Mining the Strait of Hormuz would be relatively easy. The strait's shipping lanes are narrow and well-defined. Even a small number of mines could shut down commercial traffic for weeks while mine-sweeping operations clear the area. The U.S. Navy's mine countermeasures capability, while advanced, is limited in capacity. The Avenger-class mine countermeasure ships are aging, and the Navy has been slow to field replacements. This is widely acknowledged as one of the fleet's most significant vulnerabilities. Third, the ballistic missile barrage. Iran possesses the largest and most diverse ballistic missile arsenal in the Middle East. The Shahab-3 and its improved variant, the Ahmad, can reach targets at ranges of up to 1,700 kilometers with increasing accuracy. The Fateh 110 and Zulfahar short-range ballistic missiles are designed for precision strikes against military installations in the Gulf states and against naval vessels. In recent years, Iran has demonstrated the ability to strike specific buildings within military bases, as shown during the January 2020 attack on Al-Asad Air Base in Iraq, where Qiyam-1 missiles struck with remarkable precision. The Aegis system is designed to counter this threat. The SM-3 missile, carried aboard specially configured Aegis BMD ships, can intercept ballistic missiles in their mid-course phase, high above the atmosphere. The SM-6, with its dual capability, can engage them in the terminal phase. But no defense is perfect, and Iran's strategy would involve launching large salvos to saturate the defense. If Iran fires 50 ballistic missiles simultaneously at a carrier strike group, and each Aegis ship can engage perhaps 8 to 10 targets before reloading, the numbers become a serious concern. This is precisely why 3 carrier strike groups, with their combined Aegis escort fleet of potentially 8 to 10 cruisers and destroyers, are necessary. The more Aegis ships in the defense, the more missiles can be intercepted before they reach their targets. The electronic battlefield. There is another dimension to this confrontation that most people never think about, and it might be the most important one. Electronic warfare. Modern naval combat is fundamentally a battle of sensors and signals. Whoever sees first, shoots first. Whoever shoots first, wins. The United States has an overwhelming advantage in this domain. The E-2D Advanced Hawkeye, operating from each carrier's flight deck, carries the AN/APY-9 radar, a mechanically rotated, active, electronically scanned array that can detect and track air and surface targets at ranges exceeding 300 nautical miles. It also has a cooperative engagement capability, or CEC, link that allows it to share its radar picture directly with every Aegis ship in the fleet. This means that a destroyer on the far side of the formation can fire a missile at a target that only the Hawkeye can see, using the aircraft's radar for guidance. The entire fleet operates as one integrated weapon system. The EA-18G Growlers add offensive electronic attack to this picture. They can jam Iranian radar systems, spoof their signals to create false targets, and use cyber-electronic techniques that remain classified but are understood to include the ability to inject false data into enemy command and control networks. Now, imagine you are an Iranian air defense operator. Your screen shows what appears to be a massive incoming air raid from the south. You orient your missile batteries to engage, but the raid is a phantom, generated by Growler jamming. The real strike package is coming from the east, at low altitude, masked by terrain and electronic countermeasures, and you never see it until the bombs are already falling. Iran has its own electronic warfare capabilities, many supplied by Russia and China, and some developed domestically. They have demonstrated the ability to jam GPS signals in the Gulf region, which could theoretically degrade the accuracy of GPS-guided weapons like the JDAM. But the U.S. military has anticipated this. Modern JDAMs can be fitted with anti-jam GPS antennas, and the latest variants incorporate inertial navigation system backup that maintains accuracy even if GPS is lost entirely. The Tomahawk cruise missile uses a combination of GPS, inertial navigation, and terrain contour matching, or TERCOM, which compares the terrain beneath the missile to a stored digital map, making it nearly impossible to deflect with GPS jamming alone. The human element. Behind all this technology, behind the steel and silicon and explosive ordnance, are people. Over 25,000 sailors, Marines, and aviators are deployed across this combined fleet. They live in cramped berthing compartments, eat in crowded mess halls, and stand watch in 4-hour rotations around the clock. The flight deck of an aircraft carrier is widely considered the most dangerous workplace in the world. My aircraft are launching and recovering at all hours. Jet exhaust reaches temperatures that can knock a person off their feet, and the margin for error is measured in inches and seconds. The pilots flying these missions are among the most highly trained in the world. A Navy fighter pilot has typically logged over 1,000 flight hours before their first operational deployment. Carrier qualification alone, the ability to land a 44,000-pound aircraft on a 600-foot flight deck pitching in ocean swells at night with no visible horizon, is a skill that only a tiny fraction of all military pilots ever master. These are the men and women who would execute the strikes if the order came. In the combat information centers aboard the cruisers and destroyers, tactical action officers monitor their screens with intense focus, watching for the first sign of an Iranian missile launch or fast boat sortie. The Aegis system can process information and recommend engagement solutions faster than any human can think, but it still requires a human being to authorize the firing of a weapon. That decision, made in seconds under unimaginable pressure, carries the weight of potential war. And deep beneath the waves, submarine crews operate in a world of absolute silence and total isolation. They cannot communicate with the outside world without risking detection. They execute their missions based on orders received before they submerged, trusting that the strategic picture has not changed. The psychological pressure of submarine operations is unique in all of military service. These crews train relentlessly to maintain composure in an environment where a single mistake, a dropped tool, a slammed hatch, can produce a sound that reveals their position to an enemy submarine or surface ship. The strategic calculus. So, where does all of this lead? The deployment of 3 carrier strike groups to the waters around Iran is not a decision made lightly. Each carrier costs approximately $13 billion. Each air wing costs billions more. The operational cost of sustaining a single carrier strike group at sea is estimated at over $6 million per day. Multiply that by 3, add the support costs, the logistics tail, the replenishment ships, and you are looking at an operation that costs the American taxpayer tens of millions of dollars every single day it continues. This kind of expenditure only happens when the National Command Authority, the President, and the Secretary of Defense have determined that the threat is real and imminent. It is a signal, not just to Iran, but to the entire world. It says that the United States is prepared to use decisive military force to protect its interests and those of its allies in the region. It says that the Strait of Hormuz will remain open. It says that any Iranian attempt to escalate will be met with a response so overwhelming that the outcome is not in question. This is the doctrine of deterrence through overwhelming force. The idea is not to start a war. The idea is to make war so obviously unwinnable for the adversary that they choose not to fight. Every carrier, every submarine, every missile loaded into every vertical launch system cell is a message. And the message is simple: do not test us. But deterrence is a delicate instrument, and it works only as long as the adversary believes you will follow through. And it fails catastrophically if one side miscalculates. A single Iranian fast boat captain, acting on his own initiative or under unclear orders, could fire a missile at an American warship. A single accidental incursion into Iranian territorial waters could trigger an automated defensive response. The Strait of Hormuz is so narrow and the forces so densely concentrated that the margin for miscalculation is razor thin. History is full of examples where deterrence failed. In 1988, during the tanker war, the USS Samuel B. Roberts struck an Iranian mine in the Gulf, nearly sinking the frigate. The United States responded with Operation Praying Mantis, which destroyed half of Iran's operational navy in a single afternoon. That same year, the USS Vincennes, an Aegis cruiser operating in the strait under intense pressure, misidentified Iran Air Flight 655, a civilian airliner, as an attacking Iranian F-14 fighter jet and shot it down, killing all 290 passengers and crew. That tragedy remains one of the darkest chapters in modern naval history, and it is a permanent reminder of what happens when technology, tension, and human judgment collide in a confined and hostile environment. What comes next? The world is watching. Satellite imagery of the carrier positions is available to anyone with an internet connection. Iran's leadership sees the ships. The Gulf states see them. Russia and China see them. Every intelligence agency on the planet is working overtime to determine what the American fleet will do next and, critically, what Iran will do in response. The three carrier strike groups will continue to operate, conducting flight operations, practicing strike coordination, and maintaining the highest possible state of readiness. Their mere presence reshapes the strategic landscape. Iran's military planners must now account for the possibility of simultaneous strikes from three different directions: air attacks from the north, east, and south, submarine-launched Tomahawks from unknown positions, and Aegis missile defense coverage that extends across the entire Gulf region. For Iran, the options are limited. Escalation risks destruction, provocation risks retaliation, and even the threat of closing the Strait of Hormuz, Iran's most powerful economic weapon, is neutralized by the presence of a fleet that can forcibly reopen it within hours. This is what 900 vertical launch system cells look like. This is what 3 nuclear-powered supercarriers, each one a sovereign piece of American territory floating in hostile waters, represent. This is the sharp end of American foreign policy, the iron fist inside the diplomatic glove. And right now, that fist is clenched and positioned directly at Iran's doorstep. Whether this deployment leads to war or to a diplomatic breakthrough remains to be seen. But one thing is absolutely certain. The United States Navy is ready. Every ship, every aircraft, every submarine, and every sailor in this fleet has trained for this exact scenario. They are the most capable, most experienced, and most lethal naval force ever assembled in human history. And they are on station right now, as you listen to this. If you found this breakdown valuable, if you want to understand what's really happening on the world's most dangerous waters, do us a favor. Hit that like button, drop a comment below telling us what military topic you want us to cover next. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and ring the notification bell so you never miss a briefing. We are building something special here, a community that demands the real story, the real hardware, and the real strategy behind the headlines. Join us. Share this video with someone who needs to see it. And we will see you in the next one. Stay sharp, stay informed, and never forget the men and women standing the watch tonight, thousands of miles from home, so that you don't have to.